So I am so excited to introduce our final speaker of the night. So our final speaker of the night is Fedor, and he loves animals. At one point, he had a cat, a dog, 2 horses, and an aquarium. He's lived in 5 different countries, and he manages to read 1 to 2 books a week. Fedor, come on up here and share your fuck up.
All right. Tonight is, an honorable night. I'm really excited to share my story with you guys. Big thanks to Marsha for making this happen and Nina for making the initial introduction. I've got a ton of supporting friends, very supportive friends. One of them actually gave me the best advice just a few hours before this event. He told me, don't choke. Pavel, I see you. You're at the back hiding there, but I see you. Can I get a woo from you? No? There we go. All right. I'm excited to share the story. This is probably the first time I share the story with anyone in greater detail. Although, as much as I want to go even more into detail, we just won't have time. I wanted to paint some colors, talk about different situations, peculiar situations, challenges I faced along the way, but we would end up staying here until 7 a.m. So we'll get the gist of the story out really quickly. So this is a story about loss and redemption. Still working on redemption, but kind of getting there. Life of an immigrant. So started my life in Russia, moved to Canada in 2001 with my parents, then got sent to boarding school in UK in 2006, finished school there. Lived in Germany, studied at university in the UK, lived in Germany, then moved to Latvia, and then came limping right back to Canada in 2019. Why is it not working? I don't know. There we go. A bit of another preface. So ever since I was 11 or 12, I knew that I wanted to build things, build companies. I don't know, I was just fascinated with business. I don't know why, it was just felt thrilling and kind of liberating, although I was very little. My first entrepreneurial experience was actually at UCL. So my buddy and I started a society. We started a private equity society, which was essentially inviting speakers, inviting people from private equity to come down and give a talk on their companies, how they go acquire, raid companies, sell them off, and that failed because we did not meet the quota for minimal events during an academic year. That's when I'm like, okay, marketing. Marketing has to be on top of everything else all the time if you're going into business. Fun fact, I was actually the only person who studied German and business management in my year. And another fun fact, I actually failed 2 courses in my year too. I failed German classic literature and medieval literature. And unfortunately, because of that, UCL has dropped in ranking, and in the global ranking from number 4 till number 8. Yes, that is the joke, that's not true. It was actually my classmate. So university over, time to figure out what am I going to do with my life. Always, thinking how to start a business, what to start, so on and so forth. 2012, heavy and very difficult situation for grads after the recession, going up against everybody with an MBA, with a PhD and whatnot. Ended up working for private investors who were looking to buy companies in Germany, scale them, and sell them off. It was a bit of an arbitrage. And 2014 comes about, and I hear about prepaid debit cards, which is essentially banking light. And the prepaid debit cards were essentially like a precursor to the digital evolution in banking that was to follow. And right now everybody can open a fucking bank account from their phone. Back then it was like out of this world. So did research, got partners, we got one private investor, and we were off to build a bank. So before we kind of get into this, kind of a crash course in banking, specifically retail banking, not investment banking. Retail banks generally make their money from 2 different activities. One is transactional revenue, so anything related to cards, foreign exchange rate, interchange, which we'll get back to shortly, And the rest, the majority, 80% comes from interest revenue, lending of all sorts. Now, we would be engaging in only the transactional part, so you can kind of see where this might be going. Banking as a business is actually quite capital intensive. No shit. Healthy, very hard. You need about 20 to 25 million just to think about starting a bank. So yeah, at that point I still didn't realize that I bit off a bit too much than I could chew. Back to interchange, just quickly, because this is kind of important. So what is interchange? So interchange fees are the fees that us, as an issuer, would receive from any transaction that a cardholder would make. So like, when they make a payment, so they pay for something at the POS. And at that time, early 2015, end of 2014, this was around 1 to 2% of the total payment volume. So let's say if our cardholders spent $1 million at POS, we would get between 10 to 20 grand in revenue, which is amazing. And we'll get back to this thing later. Idea was simple, fucking brilliant. Build an online bank, operate online without ATMs, leverage partners' infrastructure, get to 500,000 retail customers in 5-7 years, and then sell the business, valuing, that was like the market rate there, 2015, sell it around 1.2K a customer, which if you're good at math, that's like 600 million to 1.2 billion. Great plan, right? Not everything goes according to plan though, right? So yeah, the name. Don't ask me what possessed me to choose the name. I don't know, god-awful name, right? This is before rebranding, this was before rebranding, which never took place, unfortunately, for reasons I shall explain in the next few minutes. We were thinking about renaming it to Prime, which I thought was a great, Prime Bank. Misspelled, prime domains were taken. But let's just agree, for the sake of my sanity, that we're not going to mention that company's name. Let's just refer to it from now on as the company that must not be named. It just gives me some PTSD sometimes, just a little. So 2015, we're off building the product. Right away, we're hit. We're handicapped and hit below the belt by the European Parliament. They basically cut all the fucking interchange for consumer programs from 1 to 2% to 0.2%, which means we're not gonna get any action. I have to come up with some sort of fucking plan B for this shit. At the same time, we're faced with stiff competition. N26, Monzo, Revolut. Guys are like 18 months ahead of us, better funded. In the UK, financial center, we're in the middle of the Baltics, trying to compete with these guys. But fearless, stupid, naive, we plowed on. Well, I plowed on. Everybody else just kind of was on board. Faced a lot of adversity from prospective customers. People were saying, what is this? Is this a scam? Like, what is this company? Like, who is this guy? Who is the founder? He's like fucking 24 years old. Starting to burn cash. Because again, transactional business, no interchange. We had to get creative. So we got into payout space. We tried to onboard customers with like salary projects, with affiliate projects. So like think Herbalife, payouts for their affiliates every month. And that's when I got introduced to AML, anti-money laundering, and fraud. We had so many clients, well, leads, not clients. We had so many leads that came in with amazing business ideas of how they were going to make money, use the cards. In reality, we were just trying to launder money. And we would, with the payout projects, we would skim 1 to 3% off the loading. So essentially be compensating for that down the road for the interchange fees. So if they would load like, $1 million, we would skim, 10 to 30,000 off that. But our initial bet on consumers was betting on, the cheapness of the product, the convenience of the product, and the mass market adoption, which was a big mistake. You need to really refine your niche and find PMF first before you scale out. So lost a lot of time and money there as well. So 2015, 2016 was pretty tough, but it was going to get tougher. But before that, there was a change of ties. So turn of ties, 2017 to 2018. So 18 months of pretty good growth. We niched down immigrant market, specifically intra-European immigrants from Eastern Europe who were going to Western Europe for temporary work or moving there for good. At that time, it was still very hard to open up a bank account. Like a normal bank account would take maybe a week, 2 or 3 weeks sometimes in some cases. So there we were with the solution. Person could open the bank account, they would get an instant account, card would come in the mail, they would be able to get their salary because they had an IBAN, they had basically a bank account, they can receive transfers, send out money, and they could start working and send money back to their families, right? As an immigrant myself, that hit really close home, and it was very relatable to me. At this point, we scaled the company from about 2,000 customers to about 70,000 customers. And everything was going great. We're still burning cash, but we had to slow down the burn. So given the feedback from the market, we started planning out to roll out business accounts, same cost, much higher margins, international transfers, also high margins, still cheaper than banks by 10 times. Multi-currency accounts and more cash loading points for consumers across Europe. All seemed very well. Seemed like there was a tunnel and the light at the end of the tunnel. The Stonksman was happy. So then we had to go out and raise Series A. We were seeking to raise somewhere between, thinking 7 to 10 million euros to take us to the next step, maybe get us to 250,000 clients, expand the team, expand the features, customer support, and so on and so forth. But there was a big but, right? So, second half of 2018, I completely underestimated how much effort and time would take to raise a Series A. Never raised money from such big institutional investors before in my life. The process is very, very long. And at this point, some cracks began to appear. At peak, we were onboarding and opening about 10,000 accounts a month, so about 300 accounts a day would be opening, which was pretty insane. We were also processing anywhere between 6 to 7 million euros in payments every month, and that number would just keep growing and growing. However, we scaled way too fast, premature scaling. We were selling advertising in 7 countries. The adoption lag was very long. We had to wait according to data, about maybe 3 to 4 months before people fully started using the accounts, and the consumer retail banking is not as sticky as B2B, which meant all those 10,000 new accounts every month brought in enormous infrastructure costs to support all these systems. Managed to hire an investment consultant out of London to help us with Series A, to raise contacts, prepare all of the documents, all the cash flow, all the financing to value the company around 14 to 20 million euros, and then go beyond that, obviously. It would take too much time, and it was time that I did not have at that point. And I saw Q4, and as the Q4 rolled in, I knew that I was heading for a fucking disaster. Now, mind you, I did have 3 or 4 cash pinches throughout this journey. I'm not going to talk about them, but life or death situations for the company, not for me. Kind of managed to get through them, but this time it would be different. So this is the best metaphor I could find to describe the situation. This is Christmas and New Year's of 2018. You know when you drive a car off a cliff? I just made that sound like I do it every weekend. I go and I drive my car off the cliff every once in a while, just to clear my mind. No. This is what it felt like in midair. It's funny to joke about it now. It wasn't funny in the moment. Me behind the steering wheel of a car in midair, no way, point of no return, not turning back, and just figuring out a way how to brace for the inevitable head-on impact. So how the fuck did we get here? it wasn't one single thing, it was a combination of everything. Like, hindsight 2020. Yeah, no shit, like, should have done things a bit more differently. Huge miscalculations. Ego, humility, there was none at some point. Premature scaling, wrong decisions, right, left, and center, which just added up exponentially and kept helping me dig my own grave even deeper and deeper. Naive to assume I would raise the money so easily, even though there was like, this whole fintech craze back in those days, back in 2014 all the way to maybe 2020. I often appointed myself as the judge and the executioner to make decisions which I had no right in making, which cost me dearly when I should have sought counsel of other stakeholders. I forgot what the next slide is about. Right. The head-on collision. So yeah, head-on collision, January 2019. Jesus, did that fuck me up. I never felt more excruciating pain than the psychological pain of watching your world crumble around you, and you can do absolutely nothing about it. You just want to get out of your body, but you still want to live. So suicide was obviously not an option. At that point, I understood that we've burned through 3.5 million euros, 100,000 euros of my own money that I sunk in. We had about 30 employees, most of which who were breadwinners for their own families. So that was my responsibility. Most of them who were older than me, much older, some of them. We had zero money in the bank account. We had payroll tax debt with authorities, among all other bullshit. We couldn't pay for basic provisions for the company, like rent, forget about it. So then for the next 4 weeks, I had to stand up like and face the music, and obviously that was very messy. Eventually filed for bankruptcy. The investor stepped in. That we had to sell the company and just try to recover some of the losses. The company did get sold afterwards, but I absolutely wanted nothing to do with it. I got relieved of my duties at the end of January of that year, thank God, with zero liability attached to me, and I'll forever be grateful to the people for that. But it did leave me at like rock bottom, level 99. I didn't know it to go deeper. But let's go into a comedic intermission for that. Now, this wouldn't be a Fuckup Night Valentine's edition without a Valentine's Day story, now would it? So throughout this whole ordeal, I've been living with my ex for nearly 2 years. Obviously, I had other problems in mind, bigger problems, bigger things to deal with. I thought she would understand. She didn't. February 14th, at this point now I'm fucking broke. Like I've got like 10 euros in my account. So in 10 euros I go and buy her flowers, right? Nothing special on Valentine's Day, no money, right? It's just very quiet. Next day rolls around, and then she breaks up with me and she says she's going to leave. There's a silver lining to all of this, I assure you. Now, as it usually happens when you live with someone, they have their possessions, their clothes and everything else in one household with you. So the next day comes around and she says, okay, I'm going to come in and get my stuff and I'll leave you the keys. I'm like, yeah, whatever, I don't want to see you, just go, I have other shit to deal with, right? I have to figure out how I'm going to get my stuff out of this shit. Takes her stuff, I come back home. God, I did not know she could clean that well. She took everything. Pots, pans, knives, even the dirty mop. Like even I found it funny, right? I was like, well, talk about dodging bullets. Had to ring up my dad. It's like turning into a fucking setup right now. Had to ring up my dad. Like, Dad, can you please send me some money? I might need to buy some knives, pots, pans. Maybe just add a bit more so I can actually buy something to eat. All right, love you, thanks, bye. So that was fun. But all jokes aside, this was now level 100 of the rock bottom. This is somewhere only fucking Jacques Cousteau would fucking dare to venture. I lost my company. I had no job. I lost a ton of money. I let a lot of people down. Great people. Had an empty wallet. And to wrap it all up, a broken heart. But I knew that there were only two things. Well, there were only two things that I knew. One was that I had to get myself out of this hellhole. And two, that there's no one coming to save me. There's no one coming for me. So I had to call up the dude who ran the company fearlessly for 4 years to come back and get myself out of this place. Now recovery. Healing took quite some time. I have to admit, PTSD was pretty strong. March of that year, one of my friends got me a small marketing role at a company. This is still in Europe. Just making enough money just to tie myself over. And over the course of the next 2 months, I was thinking, like, what the hell am I gonna do? Like, I need to get out of here, right? Like, I need to find, I don't know how to say a purpose, but like, I knew I wanted to do great things, but how do I get over the first hurdle? So 2 months later, I had a choice, go to Russia or go to Canada. I think the choice is evident. Came back here. I said limping, 2019, May 2019. And lived here in a basement for about a year. A basement with no windows. Very depressing. So I thought, I knew that I was going to go into sales and marketing. Started going to events, met a few of you, one of the events. Got a job at a marketing agency. They fired me in 2021. Can a dude catch a break? I don't know. 800 job applications after, I got a job. That's actually not a joke. I made 800 applications in between March and April. My jokes didn't get as many claps. What the hell's wrong with you? Anyways, got into freelancing, marketing, sales. That's what I love. That's what I do. Met a ton of amazing people along the way. Mark, one of them. Sorry to put you on the spotlight. He's actually there at the back. So give a round of applause for Mark. If you need anything video related, video production, shooting, editing, he is your man. There's no one better. That's not a joke. Go and speak to him after. You'll be amazed. And these are actually all pictures of people that I currently worked with and currently work with. These are my Australian clients. Data Sauce, I love you. I know you're going to see this video afterwards. Nick, Mitch, and Mark. And these people, I'll be forever grateful to these people because these people gave me an opportunity to level up, prove myself, and set me up for what I hope is great things to come. And obviously I couldn't do it without the support of my friends. Basha, Amar, Alexei. Yes! Carlo, can I get a woo? That was a bit of a sad one. Yeah, and now I find myself here. It looks like a fucking blur. But what's next? Building the next company, ready to dive back in. And that's it.
What a story. I still can't believe the story exists. I'm so happy that we crossed paths and you were available for this specific event. I don't think there was a better fit for tonight.